Well, hello, everybody. This is Reverend Andy Campbell, the Deadhead Rev, with another episode of the Deadhead Rev podcast. And today I want to introduce you a friend of mine. I think we're friends, aren't we, by this point?
Yeah, we're buddies now.
We're buddies now. But this is Salem Ofa. And
hey, everybody.
Salem is out in San Francisco on a beautiful morning where we're recording this. And he is here today because I think he is, in my opinion, which doesn't count for much, probably the most preeminent source of Grateful Dead body art, not only his own, but helping people across the country, various artists, to promote Grateful Dead tattoos. So, Salem, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay, where do I start? Kind of nutshell, born to where I'm at now.
Kind of one of those little couple minutes, just
Sure. I identify as a California kid. I was born here in San Francisco, but only lived here a year, and we bounced around a little bit. Dad worked in the travel industry, so we moved around a bit. Ended up in Upper New York, then Texas, then back to California for a while, then lived in Toronto, Canada for a couple of years when I was 15 and 16. And then let me see, and then moved back west, and I've lived in Seattle, Portland, Olympia, Washington, and New Orleans for 3 years. But I've been back in San Francisco since 2003, digging into my career and my life and raising kids.
Sounds like a beautiful time. So obviously, somewhere along the way between California to all of those other stops and back to California, you discovered the music of the Grateful Dead. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, and that was a California discovery for sure. So when I was 18, I got the boot a couple weeks before my 18th birthday from my mom's house. She gave me the boot. It was warning me for months too, and it happened. I got offered a large closet to fit a futon mattress in to live in my sister's apartment. She's 4 years older than me. She had moved up here for a job. And so she put me up for some months, and I got my own place, and I just couldn't really hold a job that time. And just had this crazy yearning to get out and discover and see more. I hit the road for a while and ended up on a Greyhound bus back to San Francisco, without an apartment, without a room, with not much money. And when I lived here before, I actually had a temporary couch roommate named Alan. And Alan was, I forgot where he was from, man, but he was from the Haight, and he would take me up to the Haight. And I got a good feel of it. And this is before I really listened to the Dead. I fooled with Skeletons in the Closet a little bit of Terrapin Station, but I never delved in, not at the stage of my life. Alan, a couple times, found me some really good LSD on the street that I brought down to Southern California to share with friends a couple times. And I was up there enough through him to realize by the time I got back to the city without a home that Haight Street was a bit of a sanctuary and safe spot to sleep in the park, to spare change, to sell acid. At that stage, I was going to huge techno parties. I wore huge baggy clothes, and I was getting my paper from the kids on the street and breaking it up and going to all the techno parties in town, which were on the weekends and mostly weekly. I think there's one night a week where it was 21 and up where I couldn't go. But I was in all these clubs and these huge techno parties selling all this paper and sleeping in Buena Vista Park on the hill there and waking up to camping tickets from the park police that ride their dirt bikes through the parks, waking people up if they find you. And yeah, I spent a whole summer up there, man. And all the kids that I met were all so nice and so kind, and they took me under their wing and looked out for me, and we spent a lot of time hanging out. And they wanted me to come on tour, and they got it in my ear. They're like, "You got to come on tour. Come check it out." Back then, if you got stuck on the Haight, tour would always come back around, and you can just jump back on tour and go do the thing with the community for a while. And so tour was coming back around at that time. I was, man, I ended up getting addicted to crystal meth at that time, because I was staying up all night at these techno parties, and the dude across from me, where I was selling my acid at the parties, which was by the bathroom so people could hear you, and he would give me little bumps, and next thing you know, I was not getting much sleep a week, man. I was twacked out, and the SF glass, it was super bomb, and I did that, and man, I ended up hitting rock bottom. And right then, all the kids were gone because tour had kicked off. And when I mean rock bottom, I literally got my ass jumped by somebody that I thought was my friend and robbed. And so, pockets empty, I find a U-Haul with about 6 kids, 2 in the front and 4 in the back. And I knew the shows were north at Autzen, in Eugene. And I said, hey, I found them, and I said, hey, you guys are going to the shows. Can I get a ride up there? And they agreed and gave me a ride to Autzen Stadium. And it was all night camping, and it was fucking incredible. Very slow traffic getting in, the whole town getting taken over, and the whole parking lot just raging for 3 nights. And that was about the last time I ever did that drug. Kids on tour don't fuck with that shit. You may get some powders. Now it's crazy ketamine, bleh, whatever. But back then, like, people didn't really do meth on tour. You may have some of those, CDA campers or wrecking crew fucking there. Maybe they fuck with it a little bit. But not to talk shit, but there's not much of that on in that world or on tour. It was the good shit. It was the wake up shit.
Yeah.
But I got to that lot, and I was fucking mind blown. And I spent 3 nights, like, I didn't even get into the show. I just chilled. I found the drum circle, walked around, just took it all in, and couldn't fucking believe it. While I was bumming around Haight Street that whole summer, I met a kid named Adam, and Adam was real nice, man. And we really connected. And Adam took off, and then came back like a month later and found me again. And he said, man, I was just in Portland, Oregon. You really should get up there. And he gave me the 3 things to kind of like, bait and hook, where he said there was huge techno parties, graffiti everywhere, and cute women. And I have to get up there. And so from those shows, I didn't continue. I hitchhiked to Portland. Mm-hmm. And I spent 3 months up there, bumming around, meeting I have a graffiti art background growing up. And I'm from a graffiti crew that started in LA in 1983, and they're spread out all over the country, and a couple different countries overseas. And I ended up meeting a kid that was from that crew, because I had just got in about a month or two before. No, about 6 months before. And it was, it's a family style crew. It's like, oh shit, what's up? Here's the couch, there's the fridge, stay as long as you need to, and I met this cat, and he took me in, and he had roommates that wrote graffiti, and we all chilled and hung out for a while, and had a good time up there. Portland was fun back then, man. Lots of keg parties and ciphers in the kitchen where people are sitting around in a circle rapping, and it was some fun shit back then, man. Really fun. Early 90s Portland, Oregon. From there, I hopped a Greyhound because I knew 93 winter tour was happening. And I'm like, fuck yeah, here we go. And so I had money, I had a little bit of money, and I had a half ounce of Beaster nuggets, the BC nuggets, little tight ones. and that's all I had. And I made it back down to San Francisco on this Greyhound, and I made it up to the street, and there was like some other kids there too. Anyway, long story short, we made it down to the shows in Anaheim. It was Anaheim, San Diego, and Oakland Coliseum, right, for New Year's. And so I did that whole tour, and and just fucking really took it in and understood it. And then from there, I hopped a Greyhound cross country, and hopped on in Richfield, Ohio for 94 spring. And I did 94 spring all the way down to Miami. And then I finally made it back west. And then did 94 summer.
Wow.
It was fun. It was really fun, man. I really understood it when I got in my first show, of course. Like the lot's amazing. Like it's fucking
Sure.
community. There's nothing like it.
Which one,
Amazing
what was
kids.
the actual first show that you got in to watch?
Long Island, Nassau Coliseum, 94 spring.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my first show.
I always like listening to somebody's first show and going, oh, that would have to be a good one, you know.
I forgot what night it was, but I'll never forget. I found the Phil Zone for the first time, and that's where all the friends were. And Jerry played "Long Way to Go Home."
Mm.
So whatever night that was, but I remember tripping balls and going and like that was the farthest I've been on my own, like geographically.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like he when we're fucking lit at shows, you're like, oh my God, this song's for me right now. Like, oh, you can apply
hey, you have heard people talk about how they felt you were the right tattoo artist, you know, and it's like, no, I've heard people tell me after a sermon, you preached that one just to me, didn't you? You know, no, you just have to be standing in front of it, you know.
I love that. Well, we're always filling in the blanks, you know, and interpreting things as it comes through our environment, you know, and we're like we're receiving, conceiving, and perceiving, right?
Yeah. So you are an artist first and foremost. You're much more than a tattoo artist. That doesn't define who you are. So
yeah,
let's talk about you and art. Let's talk about you, Eric. You said something about doing graffiti.
Yeah. So when
before Mom says to leave, did you discover that you had an artistic talent in grade school? When did you figure this out?
I mean, I was doodling in class. Some of that could equate to my attention problems. I didn't keep any of those doodles. I wish I had. I've got some like Mother's Day cards from kindergarten and stuff I made my folks that I still have, but I don't have any of the actual doodles. But I would doodle in class a lot. And then kind of when I became a teen, I got attracted to the rebellion of graffiti and that art form. And, a lot of people, and I understand, a tag on a wall is not art. It's like, as far as the general public perceives graffiti, but that's how I started. And then within that development of my hand styles, they call it, and learning how to, do your tag nice and write your moniker fancy, with your own style. I learned, how to expand on lettering and how to expand on designing characters and such. And then that turned into, I always wanted to tattoo, really. Like even at 15, I got my first tattoo in this guy's kitchen and hid it from my dad for the first 6 months. My parents were pretty effing conservative. They were real open parents, real open, awesome, well-traveled, smart, adventurous. But when it came to that type of thing, my dad spent some time growing up in boarding schools. Manners were a huge thing. I was the first one to be tattooed in my family for sure. So I hid that tattoo. He was always, expressing to me like, not under this roof. You're not doing that under this roof. That was.
Did he give you that was for sailors in the Philippines?
No.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah, I mean, my dad grew up in the Fiji Islands. My great grandparents moved there in the turn of the century, and my sister's third generation born there. So like, Captain Cook went through there and discovered Fiji and French Polynesia and stuff. And Captain Cook is the person that actually brought tattooing to the Western world, through his travels and finding French Polynesia and finding Tahiti, where they were already practicing, decorating their bodies for, with symbols and everything and motifs. he discovered that and took that back. So that's where that whole sailor tattoo thing even derives from, you know. So yeah, it's really cool. But that's, yeah, Captain Cook is you know, he's the dude that bridged that gap between, you know, that type of tattooing and sailors, you know.
So I don't want to bury the lead. The first tattoo, where is it? Is it visible
Oh,
here?
it's gone now. You know, it was an outline of an Asian style dragon kind of crawling up my shoulder. Just an outline. It was about yay big on my back shoulder, and it's been covered. I'm working on my whole back now, and it got in the way. So, but anyhow, so I hid it from my dad for 6 months, and yeah, he discovered it and had a shit, but didn't kick me out. And I just always had that, you know, you know, when a parent tells you not to do something, you know what I mean? It's like, here we go. And so eventually after 94 summer tour, I said, you know, F this, I'm going to dive into this. There was way more gatekeeping back then in the tattoo industry. Like
say more about that. I'm curious.
You know, gatekeeping, people not wanting people to learn, keeping a cap on it. You know what I mean? Like, you can only get in through apprenticeships, you know, like if you started tattooing out of your garage, who knows how far you'd get, you know what I mean?
Right.
And all the locals would find out about you because they're fixing your tattoos, you know what I mean? And then they're talking shit, you know what I mean? It's like, so there was a lot of gatekeeping. I almost apprenticed with somebody in Tacoma, Washington, near Fort Lewis at that time in my life. And I almost signed a 5-year contract with this guy. And I'm glad I didn't. I ended up working for him like about 3 years later, you know, as an artist, and never had to sign that contract. But, you know, I taught myself. I'm kind of proud of it. I didn't have to answer to anyone. I definitely learned a lot of lessons the hard way, which I think are, sometimes a lot harder received and easier to retain because they're harder received, you know?
Right.
And so some of those harder lessons, you know, were, you know, good walls to hit and wake ups for me. And, you know, some of those lessons had to deal with more customer service side and cleanliness and all the like. And eventually I got enough photos and got my foot in the door. I didn't even have enough photos. And the lady said, all right, go tattoo somebody with dark skin, go tattoo somebody with light skin, and bring them back in so I can see them. So, all right. And this was, anyway, got my first job that way and got my foot in the door, slowly learned, got tattooed, which helped me learn even more. Traveling and tattooing helped me learn even more. And just kind of picked it up from there. You know, I'm not saying that people shouldn't apprentice. You know, there's valuable lessons in a formal apprenticeship and a proper mentorship. But back when I started, there was a lot of gatekeeping, a lot, you know, that now we have the internet. Now we have assholes out there offering crash tattoo courses online, and there's a sucker born every minute. And you know, ain't nobody gonna hire you if you know, you got to bullshit them and tell them a different way you learn. Because if you go in there and tell them you learn from a fucking online course, nobody's gonna hire you. You know, that's just like, no, that's not how you do it. That's not how it should ever be done.
Tattooing degree from Phoenix University online.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. You know, and like
Hey, ask me about online ordinations for ministers. We could.
Okay. There you go, man. There you go.
It's the same thing. And I don't want to be a gatekeeper, particularly when it's something just somebody wants to get married. I got that, but yeah.
I think in life there's tons of things that get exploited, and we don't understand that or realize it until it directly affects us. And then we're like, oh no shit, dude.
Well, let me ask a question. Do you remember the first Grateful Dead themed tattoo that you gave somebody?
Oh my God. Yeah, you know, so after Jerry died, I delved into tattooing and I stopped going to shows. Those were my drinking days, my darker years. When I finally moved back west, by 2012, I had a client come in, and her name is Claire, and Claire came in, and she wanted the lyric, "Let there be songs to fill the air," right? And she told me about the Further Fest that they were doing in Angels Camp, just east of us here in the Bay.
Mhm.
And I said, no effing way. I used to follow them and this and that. We got to talking, and she's like, look, if you drive, I'll buy your ticket. I said, hell yeah. And I went, and it was a complete rebirth, and
Mhm.
that was camping, and that was on this beautiful property. I was told Bobby had a bit of investment in this property where they bred these beautiful horses, and so they had two stages, and they replayed, it was the anniversary of American Beauty and something else, and they replayed both. And on the Golden Hills, there were these beautiful stallions and horses just sitting there, as the backdrop behind these stages they had set up. And then I started going to the further runs at Bill Graham, the New Year's runs. And at that stage, I started running back into old friends from tour. And it was like I describe it as a high school reunion, and I'm like, holy shit. After Jerry died, unless you came to the city, you lost touch with people. You didn't see them again. You didn't have their parents' number, to like reach out later, pre-cell phone and stuff, to try to like use a lifeline to find that friend again. There was no social media, there's no MySpace, there's nothing. So if you didn't make it to San Francisco for Jerry's memorial, or to another one in a different city, where you had that chance of running into people and reconnecting and getting, their info, people just lost each other,
Right.
And going back to the Further shows, I got to stop for a second. Further, Dead and Co, awesome. Love the music. John, I feel, is the best blues guitarist the band's ever seen. But for me, Further was the best makeup. That was the best ever. Like that beautiful 5 years. I'm so grateful that I got to catch some of those shows and see them, just, it was so incredible. So at that stage, I'm running into all these friends, and at that, and by then I'm a bona fide tattooer with skills, and I know what I'm
Right.
doing, and then boom, I'm getting to do like these fucking amazing Grateful Dead tattoos. And at that stage, I felt like I was the only one doing them, and the only, like, just a little fucking tattoo island in the
So
middle of
by
the
so by
city.
this time, what percentage of your tattoo work is Grateful Dead?
Oh, well, now it's like 85%. But back then, I would have been living in the Bay since 2003. I worked in Oakland, San Jose, and the city, proper, and I was traveling, so I had, it wasn't very music related or Dead related.
Right.
And so
Okay.
when I started going back to the shows, because of this client Claire, that was like, she lit the fire. She's like, come back, come,
Wow.
let's go. Because of that, and then reconnecting with all these old tour friends that I knew, I loved it. I was just enthralled with, like, first of all, being reborn into the music,
Right.
right? Like, I was still in a darker shadow in my life, and uh here comes the healing. Holy shit,
Oh,
and
no
and it
question.
just fucking
Absolutely.
washed away like a goddamn baptism. Never been baptized, but like that's what I would equate it to. Like, just shedding it all, and starting to surround myself with more positive family and friends, and that was
Absolutely.
just amazing. And dude,
Absolutely.
and those clients and those friends became my favorite people to tattoo, because we are fucking everywhere. And I'm tattooing, like, love you all, the dirtiest looks, to the fucking, to people that own their own law firms, man. It's
Right.
like, what? Like, our spectrum is like, it's amazing, and And at that stage, I'm like, wait a minute, am I the only one doing Grateful Dead tattoos on this scale? What the fuck? And now I'm looking around for others online and through Facebook, and I'm like, where's everybody at? No one else is doing this, and in my industry, it's there's still a stigma, right? And with my punk rock background, I fucking love it. I eat that shit up. I'm like, cool.
Right.
You think we're on drugs spinning in circles? Like, cool, have at it, bro. You have no idea what's happening, and so I'm in this place where I'm like, I can push this stuff, because it's against the grain in that tattoo world, and no one else is doing it. So everything I'm doing is original. It's never been done before. Some of these mashups and these icon mix-ups that I get to do have never been done.
It's that target audience that you have been able to discover. And it was the same thing when I had done, come out as a minister who was a deadhead. All of a sudden the deadheads were like, yes, I've been waiting for somebody. And that's what it was with you. It's like, I'd get a tattoo if anybody knew what they were doing with the Steal Your Face or
right. Dude, that's a great point. And we are everywhere, and I'll tell you, like, the Grateful Dead community is the most accepting, most musically accepting community, music community I've ever experienced. You go into these other music scenes, and you'll experience like, oh, Grateful Dead, what the fuck, like, no, that's not, no, jam bands, nah. But the Grateful Dead community, anybody will be like, hold up, you listen to Slayer? Hell yeah. You know what I mean? It's the shit, dude. I love it. Like, and you see a lot of, mashups of those, fans of those other, cultures of music and subcultures of music. I do like some metal mashup stuff that draws from the crowd, where I'll post it and people out the woodworks are like, holy shit, a fucking more metal deadheads. What's up? And you see a bunch of Wu-Tang stuff out there too. And it really, like, helps bridge and helps, like, remind us that, like, it's not just accepting on that level musically, but it's like, dude, we're so diverse. Our ears are so diverse, and we share this one common thing that, like, doesn't even sound like most of that contrasting sound, like heavy metal or hip hop or anything. I rarely meet a deadhead that grew up on fucking folk music, and like, oh, country and the Grateful Dead. I'm like, I love you, but
I got a little bluegrass background where I grew up. But,
right.
I got to go see Bill Monroe down at the bluegrass festivals in Southern Indiana and things like that. But it's amazing. And you're talking about it. It's the music, and then well, what else do you listen to? And when somebody turns you on to something else that you can bridge to, and there's the newer artist, and I think that's one of the great things about being part of the community is it does help expose you to bands and things beyond. Hell, how many deadheads, if it weren't for the Dead, would know who Buddy Holly was?
Sure.
And get a deadhead. Let's go back and listen to everything Buddy Holly did. Or Chuck Berry, and so it can take you back. And then you have the modern folks who are playing it, so it takes you both directions. It's just such a great thing. I want to move on to your work as a tattoo artist.
Oh, hold on. Let me back it up really quick. I have to share this. So when I started doing primarily, more Dead themed work, it was, my momentum was picking up around the 50th anniversary shows, in which the mail-in envelope art contest was kicking off, right? And so tons of people were designing envelopes and sending them in hopes of winning tickets, and heaps of people were posting these in all the Dead groups. When I started seeing all the different art, I was able to distinguish tattoo art from all the other things that were submitted and shared in the groups, right? So right away I could say, wait a minute, that's tattoo style art. And at that stage, I was able to reach out to that artist, find out they were another tattooer, and find out they were also doing some Grateful Dead tattooing, you know? And so at that stage, I was able to reach out to them and meet them in person at the Chicago 50th anniversary shows. And at that stage, we kind of started our own kind of Grateful Dead tattoo community and circle, finding each other along the way, through social media and through some of these groups and through friends and stuff. And that's how I came across eventually doing Bolt Day with everyone over the years, and also having the idea to publish that book. So, people can kind of delve into our tattoo world and see what that's about. And the tattoo world can delve into our music world and see what that's about. Oh, your mic's not working.
Hey, I always like it when my guest is able to straighten me out. Talk more about the book. That's where I wanted to go to.
Oh, cool.
You were able to discover all these people, and tell people how they can get the book.
Well, the book is deadtattoobook.com. It's the first ever collection of Grateful Dead tattooing, Grateful Dead themed tattoos that I spent 2 years creating with Jay Blakesberg, who was my project manager. And it took a couple years to put together, lots of editing. And it features 12 artists that I've discovered. Some are close friends from around the country. And each artist has a section in there. We were given the same list of questions, so we all answer the same kind of questions in each one of our sections. And we each created a special print that accompanies the special edition copy of that book. But that's also printed, each one of the sheets of tattoo designs that each artist submitted. You can either get with the limited edition, or it just comes in the coffee table where you can see it there, and not an actual physical copy. But created the book. It came out about a year ago. It was a fun project, very historical for me and for all of us to be a part of that, and to kind of give fans a chance. We had 300 different submissions from around the country and from Italy and Sweden, a couple other countries, where people sent in their tattoos that they had gotten. And then I was on lot at the Cubs Stadium for the Chicago Dead and Company shows, and also for the Halloween shows at the Hollywood Bowl, the 3-night run. And I got a lot of photos of just passersby with dead tattoos that were put in the book as well. Bill Merriweather wrote. He's the guy that started the Grateful Dead archive at UC Santa Cruz. He's got he wrote a section in that book for us and stuff that talks about him and Kelly and Mouse and some of their adventures and stuff. And I'm really proud of it. It's a great project to be able to create and have all the friends be a part of.
I will tell you that I got a copy of it, and it was fantastic to look at. And in fact, I gave it to the artist that did my work.
Oh, that did your work. That's right. You told me that. That's so cool. Yeah, I should send her a message and just connect and say hey and compliment her tattoo that she's doing on you, man.
She would be honored. She's the most humble young lady. Awesome. She really is. Everybody's looking at a picture. I wish I had a better, not so crop photo, but this shows detail of your artwork.
Sure.
I gotta say that is just fantastic.
Thank you.
Of all of the various symbols, what is, do you more steelies, bolts, Berthas, turtles, terrapins? What's the most popular, and does it change?
After Bobby, we're gonna start having some more symbols, kind of come into play, with especially the red tail hawk, is our new icon. I'm hoping to do more of those. I've done some of those in the past, but before that and as of now, people come to me for my Skull and Roses, my Berthas. They a lot of people, I feel, because I'm on the groups and I see people sharing and posting. I see a lot of people posting their work online, and they have a local artist they go to, and they can help direct them, and it comes out the way they want it, and it's awesome. I have some clients that really do their homework and kind of dig into more of my work and who's doing the Skull and Roses that they're happy with, and that they feel really reflect and respect the original art, as good as we can get it to hold up in the skin over time, because
Right.
a lot of the art does have to be translated for aging in the skin, and that's important. But people find me for my Skull and Roses and travel to me for them. So that's a main one I do. I do a lot of mashups. I do a lot of terrapins. I do a lot of song lyrics that we create into an image, or images.
That graffiti creating font thing, I imagine, comes in handy when you're putting words on someone's skin.
Some letters. If I'm fooling with letters too, that background with stylizing letters and stuff kind of can come into play and help me for sure. But I do a lot of Skull and Roses. I do I do some of just most of the main icons. I've done a gang of Ice Cream Kids and mashups of the Ice Cream Kid, and I mean some of my favorite is creating images from song lyric. That's where you start getting on the more original side, where you're getting into the realm of, hey, this has never been done before. Fuck yeah, and so there's only one, which that's not the easiest to grasp, because they say that everything's already been done, but there's some song lyrics that have never been, interpreted into a tattooable design, and so
All right, you've inspired me. I want you to create a design of an empty bread box.
yeah, what's that from? Remind me.
Ain't no bread in the bread box. Jerry
Yeah, no, you're going full Jerry. Hell yeah.
It's the one I've been dancing to lately.
Yeah, awesome. And that one would just be for you, because nobody else would get that. Like, no, that's cool.
And that's what's kind of fun about the dead community and the art is you can have a dead symbol that nobody else is going to know out on the streets.
Yeah.
All right, exactly. I got a couple of questions about some of the. Have you ever? I'm going to ask you two questions. I'll let you answer them in order. The first question: have you ever gotten a request for a tattoo that you either refused to do or were very hesitant to do? And second, what is the funniest tattoo story you can tell me? I like funny stories.
Oh man. Okay. What was the first question again?
Did you ever refuse to do a tattoo?
Oh, so okay, that's a good question. So, I am in the service industry, right? So I'm providing a service to people, right? So when it comes to how I feel about or what I think about an image, that's not really up for me, right? So my whole thing is I will refuse to do it if it's not going to work in the skin, if it's not going to age well, if those come into play, then I don't want my person wasting their money on something that's not going to look good in 10 years, that's going to get blurry because of too many details. Sometimes if they're not open to certain placement that may look better on their body, I mean, some people say, would you refuse to do a racist tattoo? It's like, yeah, I would, but maybe they deserve it. I'm not going to take a picture of it, but maybe they deserve that shit if they're dumb enough to get it.
I remember someone telling me when I moved to Georgia, he said the best thing about Georgia and the South is that the racists will go ahead and wear robes to let you know who they are.
Yeah, God, dude. I tattooed funny story. Okay. Silly tattoos. I tattooed a sloth holding a baby sloth riding a platypus on my friend's leg. Um, crazy tattoo. Crazy tattoo. I picked up the phone and this kid got right to the chase because you could tell he was calling shops. He said, first thing, y'all tattoo faces because a lot of tattoo shops won't tattoo your face. We have to assume a little bit of responsibility for your hasty decisions. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And like we are providing a service, but like, come on, man, you need to think about some shit too, and they're just job stoppers, life ruiners, you just hasty decisions could get you. And so this
And
kid,
those are probably emotional decisions.
well, you don't know, but I would interpret that, that seems plausible. But so this kid cut right to the chase. Y'all tattoo faces. So I'm like, well, what do you want to get? Said, I want to get the outline of Africa on the side of my temple with the Rasta colors horizontally going down. And I said, oh my God. And then back to this, if you're dumb enough to get it, maybe you should have it. You know what I mean? And I said, come on in, dude. And he was a tall Wookiee kid from Virginia. And he was, I remember we were talking to him. He had a warrant for his arrest, and he was a white kid, dready, and he wanted this Africa, bro. And it was about this big.
Wow.
And said, fuck it, let's do it. I got the picture somewhere. And so I laid him down. The thing took me 20 minutes. He pulled out like a fat wookwad, like a fat, like on tour. When I was on tour, I'll never forget, like just finally seeing how it worked, how the village worked. And you'd see the dirtiest fucking kids with the fattest wads of cash, and he was
never know what you can buy. You better be prepared.
And that's how you did it. Incog was what's up, like. And so I'll just never forget, man. This dude pulled out the fattest wad of cash, tipped me $100, paid me for it, and he was on his way. That was that. Yeah, I got that picture somewhere. God damn.
Oh man, I can only imagine.
So yeah, so if anybody knows that kid, knows who I'm talking about, that's out there in the world. Tall kid, he's got Africa with Rasta colors. Who knows? Maybe he got it zapped out by now, but send him my way. I want to say hi and see what's up with him.
I imagine you have done some correction jobs over the years, some fixing.
Oh man, yeah, I've been able to cover like crazy racist penitentiary tattoos and and just tattooed crazy fucking people, man. Just their stories abound. I've tattooed at the back gates of Camp Pendleton before, and tattooed up in Fairbanks, Alaska. And got crazy stories from all those, Marines and Air Force and Army up in Alaska, and I've just, I tattooed in New Orleans for 3 years. That was wild. I've tattooed down under and in Peru a bunch. Traveled up to Machu Picchu and Cusco and tattooed up there. And so yeah, I've collected a lot of stories and a lot of experiences.
One thing I ventured into doing some more ink, as I think I told you when my brother passed away.
Yeah.
And lost him less than a year ago. And Scott was the guy that we got the stories that only we want to know. I mean, I can't share too many of them because some of them just don't need to be told. And,
totally.
He was the ride or die brother that I had out of a bunch of us. And when he died, he left me a few bucks, and I would not have paid a bill with it. There wasn't a show to go to,
Yeah.
At the time I didn't, I thought, I'd already been to this fair. Don't need to let somebody else go.
Yeah.
And I always felt that. And so it was the ink. And I realized what I had done after it was finished. And, people have seen it before. They've seen the thing that I got done. But I realized after I finished that even as somebody who has dealt with people and helped them deal with loss for so much of my life as a minister that
Yeah.
I sucked at dealing with grief.
Huh.
I was just terrible at it.
You didn't know it till you got there.
Yeah. And so what I realized is because of the way my brother died pretty much alone, he wasn't married, didn't have any kids, he lived by
Yeah.
himself. And basically, as we got older and did all the partying and things through life, he never quit. And so
Yeah.
he died at 64. He was already disabled, and there was no funeral service for him. There's no grave marker or memorial except what is on my back.
Yeah.
And so I realized that this was therapy for me.
Yeah.
20 hours I spent.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you gained an awareness of those personal stories?
Oh, yeah.
And particularly as of late, you said with Bob passing, but I mean, you have the communal grief things. I'm sure you're going to have worked on Jerry tattoos and Phil, other things like that with people as they dealt with their grief. But can you say more about what your experience is helping people navigate that? Because they've come into you for something that's that important as what I did about my brother.
Completely, yeah. I love that about tattooing. Tattooing for people is kind of a modality of healing. You know, it's therapy in its own right. You know, and it's personal therapy, and it's done for us. You know, and when it comes to you know, getting tattoos done in memorials for, you know, other friends and family, that could be very, very healing for us, you know, very healing. There's other symbols that are put on people too that represent strength, you know, for people. Tattooing in general has the power and ability to help change perception, you know, because of its meaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we as humans, we create meaning every day we wake up, right? This is that way because of this and that, you know. That's almost like our role, you know. And so for tattooing to be that deeper inherent meaning, you know, for us to commemorate you know, a loved one, you know, on that deeper level, or to commemorate a rebirth, or you know, a hurdle in life, or something. You know, we do it with the permanence of a tattoo, and it's, you know, that permanence is like there's no turning back from it. That's your contract, you know, and so it's you know, there's different levels of healing with memorial tattoos that I've been able to do for people, and there's different levels of you know, of personal um, freedoms and liberties, you know, that arise from getting certain tattoos for people. You know, does that kind of make sense? You kind of picking that up?
I got the feeling that everybody who has worked with it, they understand the kind of personal nature.
Yeah.
You know, there's a relationship, and what I think what most people don't understand is if you make the decision, and I'll talk a little bit, some suggestions to help you with your business.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do this, you know, you're going to gain a relationship with the person who's giving you that level 2 out of 10 pain.
Yeah. Yeah. You're connecting.
And then when the coloring comes in, maybe you get up to a 4.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe a 6 if you're doing some shading. You have to have some trust.
Because there's so much trust.
What I'm going to say this, and I know it may come as a shock to people. The things don't tickle. There's a little bit of suffering involved with it, and
well, you know, they all, yeah. There's a little bit of suffering and earning.
The only thing my mother described one time is she forgot all the labor pains as soon as the baby was born.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt that when my artist got done and said, "Okay, it's all finished," it was it was a feeling of exhilaration.
Yeah,
and it wasn't because the pain was gone; it was because the thing was finished.
Totally. Yeah, and your adrenaline can level out, and you can relax. Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice when you're done.
Well, I want to
Um,
show a few more pictures of things
yeah,
that. Let's see. Now, this is one I had think of. This is the front of your shop with your apprentice there,
yeah.
and you can promote it. You can promote anybody at Eye of the Tiger. You know, you got a
Oh,
couple
cool.
more
Yeah,
artists
yeah.
there.
That's Dizzy. She's been working for me for 4 years. We had her sign a 4-year contract, 2 years of apprenticing, and 2 years of tattooing until she had the liberty to go elsewhere and travel on. And she's not going anywhere. She is total part of the studio, and one of the many reasons we're open.
And people can find you. You have a website. You're on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah,
You do
yeah.
you do all the social media things. You're
I
a
do
child
the social
there.
media. Thank you. Yeah, I try to keep up. Yeah. This is a picture of the space when I first moved in and signed a lease. Didn't know what the hell I was doing, had no plan, just was getting out of a bad business decision and into my own.
It
And
almost looks like a little refrigerator over there. I don't know.
yeah, I think that was so. This was actually, some stuff's already cleared out from this photo, but the space was a shoe repair. There was a shoe cobbler in there
Okay.
for 43 years,
Oh,
and I was the second person to look at it. And my landlords are in the sense slum landlords, as in don't lift a finger. Like as is on the leases every time,
right.
as is. So luckily I had support and got in there and had to put all the plumbing in, had to go through the health department to help guide me. So there wasn't any, backups in the momentum. Had a contractor, had me, and had just had the right support. Even a small business loan from a friend at the time that believed in what I was doing kind of helped me, get some of the main momentum going. But 14 years later, we're going strong, and it's become quite a landmark in the city now. I'm really proud, and yeah, just really grateful to have it.
It looks like a very cool space.
Thank you.
That's inviting. I think that's very inviting.
Thanks.
You have been involved in projects, you said, on Bolt Day. There's one
Yeah.
that you did. Is that from Charlotte, you said?
That's from Charlotte. That was our 11th Bolt Day. That was the first year I took Bolt Day out of San Francisco after doing it for a decade at the Eye of the Tiger. I found all these artists that were pushing these other Grateful Dead tattoos that that gave a shit, that understood, that went to shows, and I said, you know what, man, you guys have been coming to my shop for so long. Let's get this thing out, and a lot of people couldn't get west from the eastern seaboard, so I decided to take it to Charlotte to Cosmic Tattoos, and my friend Emily and Patrick own that shop. Emily designed that flyer there with the 11, with the Bolt Day for Charlotte with the crown in theme of Charlotte, and they had been doing Bolt Day with me for the last 6-7 years. So we took it out there, and some of us flew out there and met and had a great turnout. Had a band play in the parking lot. Had a little bit of vending, and we all got to go to an amazing swimming hole together as a group while we were there, and it was great. They hosted it so well. We were going to do the 12th Bolt Day in Denver, but the 60th anniversary shows were announced, and what do you do from there? You throw another Bolt Day in San Francisco when everyone's already in town. So we did that for the 12th, and it was a great turnout. It was really fun. So glad we did. So the 13th Bolt Day will be held in Denver during the days between. I believe we're shooting for August 2nd this year.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
this is a photo from Shakedown Street for GD60, the last shows that Bob played.
Yeah.
And so this was an interesting story to read online and to follow along. That the word shakedown became more prominent. I got to tell you, first time I went to we just called it the parking lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
hold on. 79 was my first show.
Right,
When
right.
It was released.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and so I like that it's not, that it's
Yeah.
all,
Wait, was Go to Heaven was Shakedown 79 and Go to Heaven was 80?
yes, I believe so.
Okay. Totally.
Yeah, because I think I told you that yesterday, while we're filming this, was February 3rd, 1979 was my first show in Indianapolis, and Donna was still playing with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I got to hear from the heart of me.
Hell yeah. I
So
got there's a taper in my neighborhood where my tattoo studio is. His name James, and he's an old taper, and he was in Egypt in '78, and it's like so cool. He was at the last night of Winterland, and actually yanked the message cabinet with the glass doors where people had a lock and people post messages and shows, and he yanked that shit right off the wall, and he still has it in his hallway of his apartment building with some of the same stuff that was still pinned in there, a couple notes and some
I want him to take that to Antiques Roadshow and see what it would.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there.
Can you imagine some of the dead? Okay, some of the stuff in Santa Cruz.
We got collectors, man. Yeah.
So you were involved with this, and it kind of got crazy and everything else with the Shakedown Street. But you were able to set up there.
Yeah, we were able to. We called it Shakedown in the '90s. I remember that, but the Sphere happened, and somebody tried to get in there, and which they were successful, but they got in there. I know the laws are different in Las Vegas. The vending thing, it's all out of whack, whatever. But a few people monetized off of Shakedown in Vegas for the Sphere, where they were charging booth fee and taking all the money. From my experience in the Grateful Dead parking lot scene, I come from the world where if you're vending, you better just show up early and line your car up, where they're letting people in the lot, and then set up where you can set up. Like nobody was charging to vend. Like what the fuck, unless some stadiums would ask, hey, are you vending, and then tax you a little more or something, right? You just don't, you don't say you're vending, but these people monetized off of it. And I no, it kind of stirred me a little bit. And I kind of publicly made some remarks about it and how I felt about it. And ended up getting a lot of feedback, a lot of I don't want to say support, but a lot of acknowledgement for that, because people in our realm, be kind is an important, a very important perception to have. Be kind always, for sure. But sometimes I feel like people don't speak up, and they're more, with their communication, they're more passive. And I don't think things change or go anywhere, and people aren't really able to be outspoken because of that be kind thing. Like, I don't want to say, and say some shit, but I think people need to be outspoken in our community, not only to protect other people, but also how we, feel about how things should be or shouldn't be,
Absolutely.
We've got a big community. We're allowed to do that.
I think in any type of community family systems, that once it develops and grows, that there is a tendency to be non-confrontational. And sometimes the best thing you need to do for somebody, if you truly love them, is to confront them.
Exactly. Thank you. Totally. So
yeah, it's the church community. It's your families, Yeah. We don't want to upset a relative at Thanksgiving, so we don't tell them that, what we think.
Yeah, I know, right? So after all that happened, they announced the shows, the GD60 shows, and I saw right away that there was media started, a profile started for this Shakedown GD60 thing by the same people at the Sphere who were trying to monetize. I said, wait a minute, wait, what? Are you kidding? Go do that in Las Vegas. Like, this is, I don't want to be, like, I don't know. This is my town, and it shouldn't be like that. And it was really cool to see a lot of the vendors that, don't have business licenses or tax IDs, that don't have $500 or $1,000 or, for a booth. And it was really great to see them organize and they organized through their own chat lines, through the socials, and figured out where they were going to set up that wasn't, in the park where they, couldn't get hassled. And I was able to help a lot. It's my city. I kind of know the environment in which the police kind of, do their thing and how they do their thing, and whether or not they would do their thing, in times of vending and just popping up shop, and it got organized really well. And fuck, man, I didn't make it to Hate Street. I was so busy tattooing that weekend, and hosting guests that I didn't make it to the Hate, but I saw footage. Man, there was people just vending, from end to end. It was amazing. So, and people were vending in the Panhandle a little bit, and my friends even kind of got on the sidelines of the actual page shakedown in the park and just set up a little blanket and put things out and made money, and yeah. But anyway, by that time when I caught wind, I said, wait a minute, I'm going to throw a shakedown. I'm going to throw a market. So I got some good advice, and I came to the conclusion that after the shows would be cool, because, you don't want to bounce people all around. It's better to have them go to one place and then to the show. And we'd get more traffic when people are scraggling after the shows on that Monday, when I was having Bolt Day anyway. So I contacted the city, figured out how to secure a parking lot, which was across the street from my studio, which was all metered. So I had to go through the city and figure out all the permitting. Then I asked a couple business owners, small business owners in my community, in my neighborhood where my studio is, who led me to a nonprofit organization called the Civic Joy Foundation. They said, reach out to them. They're always giving grants for things like this, because the city was out of money for grants at this stage. So I sent them an email, and it bounced back total positive, like, hey, let's fund this. I was like, whoa, hell yeah. And I had my assistant do all the math, like, okay, do all the math. We need a bottom line for the porta potties, the permits, like all the things, and I sent that number to the Civic Joy Foundation, and they matched it. And so I was able to host a parking lot for vendors where they didn't have to pay to vend there, right? And everybody made out like bandits. It was a great day. There was plenty of people that were left over after the shows that weren't catching early flights, afternoon flights or evening, because that was the day they had to cruise around the city and check it out. It was a fabulous turnout, but that was the deal. So that picture you showed, that was kind of like a made meme. That one, to kind of poke fun at corporate sponsored fucking Shakedown Street. That was in Golden Gate Park, because really that's how I felt it was going, and so I found that and shared it.
Just know that McDonald's and PepsiCo will never be on the same sign.
I know. So I understand, a lot of the fans now, the demographic now, are I feel, and from my experience that I'm speaking from, are Dead and Company fans, and a lot of them have discovered the Dead from Dead and Company from the last decade, right? And so they don't really have any past experiences to draw from as far as what it used to be, what it looked like, how things were in the lot, how they were ran, how people set up, how they lived, how they did their thing, and so some of these people, I feel, especially the ones that are looking to monetize, similar to what's happening at the Sphere with the Shakedown, and what happened in Golden Gate Park with the Shakedown, those people, I feel, just don't know any better, and they're just after the buck, and they're like, here we go. It's not about the traveling village and selling your wares, your original wares, so you could get gas money to make it to the next show, or get your ticket into the show, or pay for that hotel room. You know what I mean? It's just money. It takes out the whole spirit of the village for me, and so that was that was an interesting a conflict, but yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, capitalism always is going to win out. I can tell you.
You're right.
That.
I get it.
It's unreal.
Capitalism, politics seep into everything. I get it. I totally get that. But there's still a real core group, like that.
Absolutely.
This isn't festival vending. This is a freaking dead show,
I will tell you that later this week, I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and let's see, Friday will be the anniversary of the only show they ever played in Tulsa.
Oh,
And it was in 1979, 3 days after I saw my first show. And so there's a group of people here, and I think there's going to be about 30 of us that are going to go out to where the venue is, not far from where I live, at the state fairgrounds, just to take a picture.
that's amazing.
And so, yeah,
That's
good
so
friend
cool.
of mine. And so it's like I know a couple of guys that I've met here in Tulsa that 40, 50 years later, hey, guess what? We saw the same band 3 days apart in 1979.
Yeah.
It is kind of fun doing that.
That's so cool. That's really cool.
The stories of the community. And, that's part of why I wanted to do this podcast, is because I think these stories are important. And I think, I wish I could interview John Mayer. And I will tell you that, with the newer part of the Dead and Company lineup, but my daughters-in-law were both very impressed that I was wearing an outfit that John Mayer looked down and smiled at me on Sunday before Memorial Day in the 2024 shows, because I was he looked down and grinned at me, and I told those girls, and they were just aghast that I'd gotten John Mayer to smile at me, because
that's so cool. It
is interesting. I mean, all those years ago, you'd have never picked John Mayer as the one, but obviously I'm amazed how quickly he has understood the assignment. I
do. I just, yes, I totally do.
I'm not in charge of years, 61 through 300.
Yeah.
That 300 year.
Did you at one point stop going to shows? Like, your first show was in 79, but like, were you
I went to shows until Jerry died.
Yeah. And then what?
I saw a couple of Phil Esch and Friends shows. I got to see one down in Atlanta where Dickie Betts played with him, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And so that when a cover band might play something like that, but I never saw further.
Yeah.
And what happened was, one of my dear friends that I known from college, Dead and Company were going to play at Deer Creek, because that's the only name of the place in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And growing up in Indianapolis, I'm working, have a job and everything else. And all of a sudden they built this beautiful amphitheater in my stomping grounds. And so I went to every Deer Creek show that they had. I live really close to Alpine Valley and went to all those. But no, there was the period where, I guess I was in mourning. I still listened to the band all the time and what have you. And the vocation of being an ordained minister, I knew it would shock some people.
Yeah.
They'd ask questions. And finally I got tired of hiding who I was, because the band stuck with me as much as my faith. It never wavered. And but that's a whole other story. But
you never got to see the other ones, or the Dead?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
But I will tell you something. There are groups that are out there now that are touring.
Yeah.
That I think the musical experience that I've had with some of these cover bands that go around the country.
I know.
And we have 2 local cover bands that I get to see. I get to go to 2 Dead cover shows a month, and living in Tulsa, right down the road. And I know the band members, and one of them is the Dead Gummits, and I interviewed them, the 2 founders, on the last podcast, and they kind of do a bluegrass version, and they have the best cover band name ever, the Dead Gummits.
Yeah.
The other one is One Way Trucking, and they fuse Allman Brothers. And they're just fantastic.
Oh, fun.
What's the one? Steely Dead. If you've ever seen
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them yet. Yeah, that Bobby's
LA group, Grateful Shred. I saw them twice this year.
They're great. They're great.
Fantastic.
We have 800 cover bands.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that. That's just
more. Yeah, I'm sure there's more.
There's probably 10 that decided to form during this recording.
Yeah. There's one too that I really enjoy. If you guys have ever heard of them, they're called Mason's Children.
Okay.
and they're awesome. Just a pack of awesome young people, and they play so well. And they travel around a bunch and tour all the time, just on their own in a bus. But yeah, they're great. Mason's Children.
Let's see. The group, there's a group called Forgotten Space that are.
I think I've heard of them.
They also play as Rosebud,
Ah,
the Jerry Garcia cover band. So they will do different shows, and in fact, their lead guy, the drummer, also does a Who cover band.
oh, awesome! We've got Dark Star this weekend.
I have never seen them.
What?
I have not seen Dark Star Orchestra, but Joe Russo?
Yeah, that's some high energy stuff right there.
They are going to be playing in Indianapolis on July 17th. So I'm going to go road trip to my old stomping grounds and
how far is that?
Get my kids to go. Drive? So you should go out there. Come meet me.
How far is that drive?
8.5, just enough that I'm going to look at Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, that ain't bad. Next time I go to Indianapolis, I'm gonna make some tattoos. I have a good friend, Dustin Leach, that owns Wing and Wheel Tattoo. He's actually featured in the Gratefully Tattoo book that was published. But he's a good friend, and I've guest spotted at his shop a couple times in the past, and I'm I really need to get it back on the radar to come out there and make some tattoos.
Well, it's amazing. Wherever part of the country and you start looking around, you've seen that, oh, here's a great regional band here. Oh, Terrapin Flyer out of Chicago.
Yeah. Oh my God. Hold on. They are amazing. I met Josh, the guitarist, at the Sphere. They played at the Copa Room or whatever at the Tuscany after one of the
Dead Gummits did it too last year. Yeah.
I missed them, but Terrapin Flyer amazed me. And Josh, I didn't get to tattoo him, but I did get a book to him. So we hung out on lot and got to know each other a little bit, and I was able to get him a book. I was really stoked. He's an amazing guitarist. That whole band's incredible. What I love about the cover bands too is you're gonna hear deep cuts that you'll never hear Dead & Co play. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna hear the other stuff, live, like the Candyman, and the Operator.
I saw Grateful Shred twice this past year. They played Alligator both times.
Both times they played Alligator. Oh, that's cool. You never hear Dead & Co play Alligator,
Well, and they did Ain't No Bread in the Bread Box. And I lost my ever-loving mind.
That's
I had a girl stop me after the song and said, watching you dance to that has been the highlight.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is such a great community to be a part of, man.
Yeah,
what's next for you? I mean, this is you at the Bobby Memorial with your fiance, and we're all kind of in a what's next. Something's going to happen. I think we're all, because hey, the one reason why capitalism won when it came to Dead & Company and all of this is because I couldn't stop handing them my money.
Yeah.
And they know that I'm still going to hand them my money.
Well, I mean, is it a fact that John Mayer owns 51% of Dead & Company? Is that true? If that's true, why would he just, let it ride? You know what I mean? For what, merch and stuff? No, like that's there's been a torch passed. Whether some of us like it or not, or have critiques about it or whatever. I just think, Bobby's dream, it's like, you can't deny that. His 300-year prophecy, you can't deny that,
No.
And
he talked about the songs needing to be, the word he used was massaged. And that struck with me. And so it doesn't,
hopefully that's a deep tissue massage you're talking about.
Well, hey, we're all hoping for a happy ending. No, I did not say.
So I think that there's going to be players that get together. I think Dead & Company, most of the members will stay together. I think they're going to be swapping out musicians. I think if that's going to happen, this gives us a chance to have another tour. This gives us a chance to go to other venues without, a residency and spending all our money in Vegas. I think that maybe it'll take a minute to pick up momentum. I think since I equate it to maybe Jerry dying, where once the big man kicked the bucket, man, that was it for a lot of us. For a lot of people, that was it. Like, oh, it's fucking over. And I think some people feel that way about Bobby. I think when Dead and Co started, it took like 4 years of them playing shows and that momentum to get people going, figuring it out. Like, oh shit, okay, it's good, okay, all right, I guess I'm gonna go, and
Right.
and then rebirthing themselves, and rediscovering the music and the community. And I think that if something happens, I think that maybe it'll take some momentum to get going, because like it ain't. Yeah, there's John Mayer fans, and there's now Dead and Company fans, thanks to John Mayer, but there's still no Bobby. What, Mickey's just gonna play? Is Billy gonna come back? Since there's no Bobby, like what is all that? You know what I mean? Like, how's that even gonna look? Is there gonna be one surviving member of the Grateful Dead drumming? Like, it's strange. I don't know. That's my speculation.
Gotcha. Something's going to happen. And
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I think that John Mayer is going to take this on. I think what I saw at the memorial was him becoming the foster father.
Yeah, that was the memorial locked it. It was like, well, if you didn't know before, then this is what's up now.
I'm here to raise your child.
Yeah, and it's like, who else? He knows a lot of songs.
He's getting custody.
Yeah,
and I think Mickey and Billy are fine with that. Hey, John is still developing what his legacy is going to end up being, and it's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to pass away after I do, just looking at actuarial tables.
Yeah.
And people will mourn. The people who follow the dead will mourn.
I think there's always going to be, as far as the makeup of the Dead Company, I think that's how I feel about it. But, there's going to be big celebrations, just like they have Jerry birthday shows, where the people get together and the guests show up, and excuse me, they're going to have Bobby, shows. They're going to, they're going to do it.
I spent a birthday with him one time.
Yeah, cool.
In New Jersey, Bobby's birthday. So I didn't know it was John's at the time, but
yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing that I'm going to predict. I don't want to make a prediction. In fact, this Sunday I'm going to be talking at our community service thing about prophecy versus prediction.
Yeah.
My prophecy is that you and I are going to smoke one out together in person one day.
Killer, maybe do a tattoo too.
Well, I got to tell you, my temptation, the emotional aspects of tattooing.
Mm-hmm.
If I could get one, I'm a football fan. I graduated from Indiana University, and if I could get Fernando Mendoza diving for the end zone across my forehead, I think that would be, or just 16-0. I have other loves outside of the music, and I got to tell you, the college football season was something. There are miracles that happen,
So God, the Grateful Dead, and foosball.
Sports in general, I kind of like it. I love movies. Yeah, there's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Great animated cartoons, Bob's Burgers, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I could get Teddy from Bob's Burgers somewhere. Yeah. and I would, and I will tell you that Ashley, my tattoo artist, did say that she doesn't ever feel she is a skin owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I learned that term from her. I'm not a skin owner. If somebody else did something for you.
How did you feel about, did you want to come to the memorial and weren't able to, or were you okay with being where you were?
Oh, I have a deeper understanding about memorials and gatherings for people that grieve after being a minister for all these years.
You bet, yeah.
And they're never great reunions.
Yeah.
They're never as much of a time of celebration, but I understand completely because bringing up a piece of scripture.
Yeah.
At the crappiest time in Jesus' life, when things were completely shit, and he knows what's about to happen to him. He knows the pain he's about to go through, and it's even a point where he is at his most human in life that he bargains with God and says, "Hey, if you can take this cup from me, can you?" Like any of us, right? He bargains. And the only thing he wanted when he was sitting there at the Garden of Gethsemane was from folks just to sit with him. He wanted his friends just to be there. Don't have to say anything. Don't try to fix it. And I think when we're in grief, I think that's what we need. We don't need the pomp, the circumstance. You just need somebody just to sit by you while you go through it.
Yeah, I felt a lot of people were, felt really, alone and powerless to come to the city and congregate with, those who made it for Bobby, and a lot of people felt real lonely and separated,
we all shared with each other and everything else, but
yeah, I was trying to make stories on my phone for people that weren't there, and a lot of people sent back messages, thank you, I wish I was able to be there.
My son was the one who let me know, and Ed, I don't know if you've heard this, because well, funny story, his mother called me up while I was at work in 95 and said, "Hey, by the way, they just announced Jerry Garcia died. Do you know what time you're going to be home from work?" She had no idea. I mean, she knew I was a deadhead, but she had no idea what she was telling me. She really didn't know my heart. Yeah. And I went out back, and I told my kids later on after she did that, I told my, co-manager, I said, I got to go out back. And I went outside and cried for 30 minutes. So he made sure this time that I got the news softly. And I so appreciated that,
Yeah.
But the one thing about grief is, Salem, nobody's supposed to be good at this.
Yeah.
If it did, it wouldn't be as hard as it was.
The one
thing you have to have is the respect for the process. You can't fight it.
Totally.
And all of that. I want to thank you for you could have been tattooing somebody this morning, I'm assuming, if they'd have gotten
No, I don't usually work that early. Sometimes I do consultations before I start. If I have to, if I'm helping somebody out, or there's like a travel limitations or something, I'll go in early to the shop and tattoo, but I usually start at around noon where I'm actually zapping.
Well, I just appreciate you making this time together, and
again,
I appreciate you have done a lot, I think, to help solidify the community.
Yeah, thank you.
And I applaud you for that and being a part of it. I admire what you do. Your story is amazing.
Thank you.
And I look forward to sharing it with others. And again, buy his book, schedule a tattoo, head out to San Francisco to Eye of the Tiger. Just find him, support him online, whatever you can do. Salem, I thank you so much, and I know that we're going to see each other down the road.
Oh yeah.
As I always say at the end of every one of my service, every once in a while you're going to get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. This is Andy Campbell, the Deadhead Rev, with my special guest Salem Ofa, signing out. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Andy.